congratulations on it.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about a number of things, broad, wide-ranging kind of thing. We watched it. Do you binge watch shows?
Yes.
And what is it about binge watching? Because I'm new to it. I didn't do it on DVD. It's only basically through Netflix that I'll binge watch. And there's just something about it that is incredibly satisfying for me. Except I get kind of sad when it's I've watched all 13.
Yeah.
There's nothing more. But what is it, do you think, that has pushed people towards binge watching?
I love it. I think they've invented a new way for people to get entertainment, and I think that it's great because you don't have to make an appointment with your television. You know, you don't have to rely on it coming on every week and waiting. And there's excitement about having the anticipation of waiting for something. But I also think that it's like reading a book. You know, you can read it, just put it on your bedside table, wake up in the morning, read a little bit. If you can't sleep, you can watch some more. Or you can hold off and you can wait to finish it. If you like, I know people who wait to finish the last couple because they don't want it to end, and I feel like that with a good book. So to me, I love watching it like that, actually. Especially if there's older shows that I missed entirely.
Well, Damages is the one that got me.
That's what got me too.
Yeah.
And I really didn't think I would go all the way through, and then I was just hooked. I was hooked. And we couldn't wait to find time to watch it.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where you're like, you wake up in the morning, you're so tired. I should not have stayed up watching all of that television.
Well, it's so easy
or
just
whatever
to do
it
one
is.
more.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Well, Damages, there is a connection between Damages and your show. And the thing about Damages that I missed it completely when it was on broadcast television.
Yeah, I did too.
I just wasn't in the cards for me to see it. And when I started watching it, I was like, well, this is really, I get now why everyone was talking about it. But also, the roles for women on that show were so beautifully written, which I think is something that has filtered down into Bloodline as well. So tell me a little bit about maybe when you first saw the script, and was it clear that Meg's character was a little richer than maybe other things that you've seen? Or maybe not, because I also, the next part of this question is, I feel like roles for women, you often hear there are no good roles for women. There aren't. I think your career is kind of a testament to the fact that there are good roles for women out there. Interesting roles that are crucial to the story, that are well written, that aren't stereotypical, all those sort of things. And I think that they're on television. They're not perhaps in film. Does that ring true to you?
I think that there are good stories to be told, and if you have a good story to be told, I think there are rich characters involved. And I think that there is no way that you can tell a story that rings true without involving complicated and interesting women. For the most part. I mean, of course, there are other stories, but I think the majority of stories that you have in your life involve a mother or a grandmother or an aunt or a sister or a lover or whatever it is, and women are all of those things. And when I watched Damages, I loved how they wrote women, and I thought that the women changed from, well, number one, I thought that what could have been viewed as a stereotype was introduced and then explored in such a fashion that broke all of those stereotypes and broke all the sort of glass ceilings about what a female character could or couldn't be leading the show. I think that, to me, that was very exciting. And there was no script when I joined the project. There was not a script.
What do you get in that instance? Is it just a pitch, or is it
pitch?
Here's a piece of paper with the name Meg on it and a few lines about it, and that's it?
I picked a name out of a hat. No, there was a pitch, and I had a meeting with Glenn Kessler, and Todd and Daniel were on speakerphone because they were in New York, but I had a meeting with Glenn in Los Angeles, and he spoke so beautifully and so much rich detail about who this person is, what she means to the family, what the story means, and how many sort of different directions the story goes. And to me, that was very exciting how much he had to say and how much he knew. And I knew that some of it would be included and some of it would be just history for me to know as an actress, which I also very much enjoy. And it showed to me that there were people that they were, the creators of the show were very, very interested in each and every one of the characters. And in order to have the family dynamic be appealing, you have to understand every facet of the family, and so that was something that I was very interested in.
And Meg, the tagline of the show is we're not bad people, but we did a bad thing.
Right.
And Meg is someone who I think exemplifies that. I think that she's a little conflicted about her place in this world.
Yeah.
And she's trying to figure it out, and she doesn't see herself as a bad person, I don't think, but she doesn't really often tell the truth as well. Or, I don't know if that gives it any away, but she doesn't.
She doesn't. I mean, the first time you see her, you know she doesn't necessarily, what she shows to the world is not maybe necessarily what she is.
Yeah.
I think that's also what was so great. When I actually did see the first script, I loved that that's how you meet her. I mean, part of me wanted to cover my mother and father's eyes, but you know, I loved that there's a moment of questioning this person's sort of moral center. And I think what's interesting about the family is I don't think they think they're bad people. And I've said, like, if you do bad things and you have bad behavior, but you think you're a good person, what is really the truth?
Yeah. Well, what does that make you?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, does that make you some kind of psychopath because you can't look? I mean, psychopath is probably too strong a word, but I mean, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like the dishonesty within each other and within themselves and within the family is what really decays them. And I feel like they're fighting very hard to protect something that isn't necessarily true.
And it's shot set in the Keys, shot in the Keys, which to me seems endlessly exotic. You know, I've never been, but it seems like a very exotic place. Tell me a little bit about shooting there, because there's all kinds of, there's the mangrove trees, there are the crazy tarpon fish that I've heard so much about. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to actually be there and shooting, because it seems, it doesn't seem like it's in America. You know, to me it seems like something, it seems like another place. It is
otherworldly in some way. I mean, you know, it is different from anything I have known. It was the first time I'd ever been there, was coming there to shoot this series, and you take this 2-lane highway. On one side you have the bay, and on one side you have the ocean, and suddenly, you know, instead of the dark sort of dangerous looking Pacific, you have this very calm looking jewel,
silky smooth,
turquoise, beautiful water, and the ecosystem there is just completely different. The birds and you know, there are crocodiles there. That doesn't happen to me in California, you know. And I think that there, you know, it just is a really, it's a place that has a duality to it, because on one hand it's extraordinarily, stunningly beautiful, and on the other hand there's this sort of oppressive heat and slight danger that follows you around everywhere. You know, I mean, when you're in the elements, which is this, you know, this string of highway connecting these tiny islands that are this, you know, dead reef. When you're in those elements, there are a lot of things around you that are sometimes friendly to human beings and sometimes not so much.
It's like, what was it, a Million Ways to Die in the West? Like, everything here is trying to kill us.
But I think it's perfect for the show, because it really shows this paradise, and yet on the other side of it, there's all of these other sort of dangerous things happening.
It's like those sort of David Lynch films that were all about like small towns that looked idyllic, but then you know, peek a little further into the doorways and the windows, and you'd see terrible, weird things happening in these towns.
But the people are wonderful there. The locals are wonderful, and they really enjoy their life. It is island time, and they are enjoying their days in the sun.
And tarpon are big fish, sort of like barracudas, though, that jump out of the water and you can feed them. Is that right?
There's this one place, yes, there's this one place called Robbie's, and it's my favorite thing my favorite activity I did when I was there. And you dangle, for $1 you get a bucket of fish, and you hold a fish. I can show you the video. You hold a fish over, and the tarpon are they're actually kind of sweet fish,
Really?
you know, they're very nice.
But they're vicious looking.
They're just big. They're just big, and they have these big mouths. They don't have, like barracuda, their teeth are showing. Barracuda get a bad rap because they look more dangerous than they might actually be. But I mean, I've snorkeled with them, and they were perfectly kind to me. They just sat there and looked scary. But you know, I think the jellyfish are more of a problem than they are. But the tarpon, you just sort of lean your hand over, and it's this tourist thing to do, and the Keys, and they come up and they jump out of the water and they grab the fish out of your hand, and they're like trained. They're trained creatures, you know. They've been domesticated to some extent because they know where the food is, so and they put on a show.
Yep, and it's an easy meal for them.
Yeah. Although there's always the pelican there, trying to hone in. He's pretty good at it too.
And mosquitoes. When I think
they
of bees, I think of mosquitoes.
They are an issue,
Really?
And they like some of us better than others. They really enjoyed the sweet blood of myself, Sissy, and Ben the most, I think.
And what makes Meg a different character for you to play?
I think one of the most interesting things that they said about Meg in the meeting, and one of my favorite things about her to play, is that she's this person who maybe doesn't really truly know who she is. And I think that's interesting to play a woman who's accomplished in many areas. She's a lawyer, she's successful, she has a successful relationship with her boyfriend by all means, or by all people's perception, and yet at the same time she's been doing what's expected of her for so long that she doesn't totally know how she feels personally about things, and but she doesn't know that either. She thinks the decisions that she makes are her own, and I think that it's interesting that in the third episode Danny points out that she doesn't have to do certain things, and she says, I know. But she doesn't truly know that. She believes she still has to, and that's. I think there comes a time for people who are people pleasers where you have to realize, like, am I doing this for myself, or am I doing this because I please others? And being people, she likes pleasing people, so that feels like it's for herself. But at the same time, she doesn't truly know herself, so her bad decisions come out of that.
Right. It's interesting. Because I'm trying to figure out a way to talk about this. It's a thriller, so you have a big jigsaw puzzle. And you can't really give anything away.
And it's hard to talk about because you can see all 13, so you know.
Yeah. So let's talk about working with Sam Shepard. Honestly, why his face isn't on Mount Rushmore, I don't understand.
I don't think there's a person who's come to the cast who hasn't done one of his plays. I think that it's such a formative experience when you're a young actor to work on one of his plays. I remember doing Mad Dog Blues when I was in college, and he's brilliant as a writer, and he's brilliant as an actor, and to work with him, and to watch him in the show is just spectacular.
And I mean, it's such a great cast. It's such a strong cast of really believable. Like when I was watching it, was like, I believe that these people exist. I believe that these people live in that world.
That's so great. Yeah, that's our job. So and to be able to do my job, something I love, with people that I so admire and respect, it's a joy to go to work every day and to work opposite this cast. It's like doing the thing you love most with the people who are the best at it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's like a pro athlete playing with the Lakers. You're at the top of the game.
Yeah, there was a guy who came in and had a part for the day, and when he met Sissy, and when he walked out, he smiled and he looked at me and he said, that was like meeting Mickey Mantle for me.